Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and also good evening, guys, depending on whichever time of the day that you all are going to come across this video. I'd like to welcome you all onto this channel, guys. Ngifake Vaseline la ihlathini. Yes, linear laments. Yeah. Kathi nina nenzani? Nina kanti Hey. What we are going to do, I think we are going to play, because this whole thing has been splitted into few videos. So what I feel like we should do is we're going to play one video and talk video, because I do not want us to miss anything or to forget anything. So I think we're just going to listen to one video and then sikhulume next video, sikhulume kanjalo up until we are done. And then let's start.
Good morning, guys. I hope nivuke kahle namhlanje. There is something I wanted to talk about that was actually prompted by the video about red flags that I posted izolo. Do you know, Mnane, in my blunders that I've made in my life, and the worst mistakes that I've made, and some of which that I've also spoken about, I've realized how kind God is, because I've seen God did offer me an opportunity to correct my mistake. God offered me an opportunity in His kindness to correct my mistake, and I didn't take it. In fact, I went in deeper and deeper into trouble. You know how I said, and I'm actually supposed to go in, but I just want to quickly say this. So you know how I shared, but I bought my husband a Mercedes-Benz GLC that I was paying 15,000 every month towards the car. So he drove it 2019, 2020, 2021. In August, the car was bought in August, towards the end of August in 2019. Then we moved from Cape Town, and then we went to a Lady Grey, where I said I was doing my internship. But he was commuting from Lady Grey to Alwell North every day, because he had a barber shop in Alwell North that he owned there, and he was running it on a daily basis. The distance from Lady Grey to Alwell North, I think it's plus minus 100 k's. So he would drive going and drive coming back, and that was a lot of driving. That was a lot of petrol. That was a lot of strain on the car itself. And sometimes I guess he would be exhausted because he was going there every day. Anyways, so to cut the long story short, because 10 minutes is not enough, he was involved in an accident. My husband was involved in an accident with the GLC. On the day that he was involved in an accident, it was the day after we had the biggest fight. The day before, I don't remember what we were arguing about, but the fight didn't end well. He beat me up. He must have slapped me multiple times, and after slapping me, I fell, and then he dragged me on the ground. I remember him dragging me on the ground and me sitting on the ground like that and crying while I was seated on the ground. Crying while I was on the ground. I'm laughing now because I'm saying all of this in retrospect. And while I was crying, he didn't. It's like he didn't care, ne? But I remember at some point looking at him and asking him, "Ba, can you see me? It's me." Like while he was is like better, and his eyes are red, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, it's me, can you see? And he was just continuing beating me. That day my heart was so broken. After he beat me up, I just got up. When he stopped, I got up, and then I went to the room and I started praying. And I think I was so defeated that day that when I prayed, I said to God, Jongatiko, the marriage is like this, and I don't know, Mnaba, what's your will with my life as far as this marriage is concerned. But then I said, my heart can now realize that things are not going to get better. So if it's your will for this marriage to end, please end it yourself. And then I said, if you can see I'm being resistant to getting out of this marriage and to letting this marriage go, please remove this marriage. Make a plan and just remove me or remove my husband. I said that to God and I said, amen. Guys, I am not lying to you. I'm not lying to you. The following day, my husband drove to his barber shop, and then he had an accident. When I woke up in the morning, obviously we were not speaking to each other. I went to my work, and I was walking to work because it was like a 3 minutes walk, and then I could walk. And I walked to work, and then he drove, and he got into an accident. I was just called by someone I don't know, who called and said, hello, your husband has just had an accident. Then the first thing I asked is, where is he? Is he okay? And then the driver said, yes, he's okay. Then I said, please give him the phone. He was given the phone, and I said, are you hurt? And he said, no, I am not hurt. Then I said, please make sure that no tow truck comes to tow the car. I'm going to call the insurance and find and make sure that whoever takes the car has been given the go ahead by the insurance. Then after that, I called the insurance. Obviously, Galoanis, the car is in my name, and the car is also insured by me, even though he is the primary driver of the car. So I was the one that had to exercise like all of that and facilitate all of that. So then I called the insurance, and the insurance people go into they go there, and then they give a go ahead for the tow company, and luckily the tow truck was already there. The car was finished. The car was completely finished, and my husband came out without a scratch. The car was completely finished. He came out without a scratch. I had a friend that took me to the site of the accident. When I got there, I assessed him quickly, and I saw that he's fine. Then I said that it's fine. We can, if you are not feeling okay, we can go and assess you at the hospital that I'm working at. The friend that I came there with, he helped us to put our things in his car, and like my husband and I, we got into the friend's car, and then we drove back home. When we got home, we didn't talk to each other or say anything or try to rehash whatever it is that might have happened. We just got there, we knelt down in our room, and then we prayed. We thank God for his safety. We thank God for protecting him, and we were just crying on our knees and just praying and thanking God. This video is going to cut again because I'm already at 7 minutes 55 seconds. We thank God, we prayed, and then from there afterwards, I was now calling the insurance, trying to get a courtesy car because I was already frustrated. Now I was like, okay, he is fine. That means that he's gonna need a car. So I need to now call the insurance people for a courtesy car and tell them yonkinto. Then I was stressed going back and forth with the insurance because Bloemfontein is 2 hours away for us to go and fetch the courtesy car. It was just a stressful process. But that is fine. And then I was just on the phone the whole time. Yeah, he was also on the phone with his family, and the families members were like just bekuza. And after that, they were like praying with him and all of that. But I wasn't in those prayers because I was busy on the phone. The following day, it was the same thing. I woke up. At the time, I was on a weight loss journey, so I was doing jump rope. I woke up and I did the jump rope, and after that, I was on the phone. I was on the phone the whole time. We did not talk about the fight that we had or anything, but this is what I want to say in the last minute, because this is what this video is about. When that car got into an accident, it was a complete write-off, but my husband was fine. The bank paid, the insurance paid, and also the shortfall cover paid for the car, and the car was completely covered and it was paid for. It's like God said, Tselwe, you've made the worst financial mistake of your life. I am blotting it out. I am forgiving you. I'm giving you a chance to make better decisions. Guys, I will tell you on part 2 of this video, Uba, what did I do with that chance? Because you would think, Uba, just because God has helped me to correct a financial mistake, I will make better decisions. I didn't make better decisions. In fact, we went and we got my husband an even more expensive car, 23,000 per month.
So allegedly, guys, doctor, her name is Uceliwe. First things look feeling wondering now is that sometimes you can be book smart and be dumb. Unenza nini umjolo? Cha umjolo ninganjaja ke mina. Angifuni futhi umuntu ozongitshela ukuthi hayi mina ngisemathandweni, I am in love. Cha mina ngizonjaja ke emjolweni. Angifuni ukuqamela manga. Let's get into it. Those are my full judgation of the whole situation. Hey Nina. Guys, based on this video, I just hope that I do not forget anything or miss out on anything that she spoke about, that she stood out kule video le. Hi. Yes, first things first, I always ask you all, why do you stay if a man raises his hand on you? Why? Why? Angifuna umuntu angitshela ukuthi yena niyamthanda because niyayithanda leyo nto. Khona enye video ngisazoyenza of another stupid girl othi, just to be off topic, that girl is, what she's saying is that you can see that her face is swollen, but and she's sitting with her boyfriend, and then she's like, guys, never touch your man's phone. I have learned my lesson and I'm sorry, and it is wrong to touch your man's phone, because and next thing you end up finding out that he's seeing other people or he's cheating, and I am wrong for that. I'll never do that again. Guys, it's very important to love yourself. It's very important to go stand. It's very important to also put yourself first. And by you loving and putting yourself first does not mean Guti you cannot love another person, or you can let umuntu run over you or agmore in the name of Gutu when you amtanda. But I'm not even going to say you're like in love, because umtanda. Umuntu, you can see through their actions. Good, this person doesn't give a rat's ass about you. So okay, we are sure Guti the man put his hands on her, and she was even asking this man, Guti, do you even see Guti, it's me? I'm sure that it was also another thing that even angered him, because I'm sure he might have even thought, or even maybe said, good, oh, when I'm a doctor, I do not promote EGPV. I don't want to lie to you. I do not. But nanang bore. So after that, Lapo, as she's saying, she went and she prayed about the whole thing. Even, guys, you telling God to even remove you. You're telling God to even remove you because when you are resistant, or if you are resistant, so you would rather die and this man carries on with his life and and this man does not even love you. A man who puts his hands on you doesn't love you, guys. Period. I know there are even some girls who even have this mentality. If indoda ingangishaya mina ayingithandi. So you'd rather lose your life and die and decompose. I was shocked when she was like, okay, I was okay. When she was like saying, God, remove this marriage and all of that. In my head, it was like, God, she was like saying, God, remove this man because toxic. Now you're even including yourself. You'd rather die and decompose. Why? Hey. Ngiyabona ingane lapha see kids at the profile picture yakhe. I'm just not sure ukuthi at that time did she already have the kids based on this video or not, but we're going to find out as we are going through the other videos. But you now ufuna ukuhamba when you a victim here, but you still nina anistandi nini wena nazonda angibafuni mina abantu abazondayo and you'll hate yourselves. And to even make things worse, after the accident happened, you are going to thank God. You thanking God that this man is alive. And a few seconds ago, you were praying to Nkulunkulu must deal with this whole situation. Kanjan, guys. Me vele ngajajana kule video xolisa. Namzongijaja whatever. But kanjan, when you thank God, uNkulunkulu uzama ukuqhelisa lephara. God is strong wena lo mama mhamba lo baba. This is the video of that car. I got it from Lentu Zanayak. She posted this video of that GLC. When you thank God, and as I said, to strongly because allegedly she's saying that the husband came out without a single scratch. Lo mama mhambayo very powerful, ayikabi, strong bo. But you even thanking God, and not only when did you thank God, nor did you take the second chance. You decided to go a step further. Nitati mod. Got 20,000, 23k. Enye. The problem is that uNkulunkulu ulungise or ukunikeza second chance financial or ukusizile ukuthi ukwazi uba right financial azange akusize mental. Ezinye izinto guys uNkulunkulu fasisize ngengqondo. Guys, we need to pray for ingqondo. Thina si stupid kakhulu. Futhi mina ngeke ngisho thina, mina ngikho stupid. When it comes to such things, ni stupid guys, ni stupid. Yazi kani mina yo khawe yazi makufika emjolweni ke. Mina ngiyanibukazi. Mina ngifana nekabishi ngoDecember. Akino December when ni thosa ni fryer ni pills of life. Ngisho uJanuary uyeza. Nginjalo ke manje. Ngiyanibuka nje nibhayiza nezimkhulu. Nenzani nina nenzani? Yazi ngiyanyisa. Andlaya futhi amadoda cha naye ngingasho ke ayanilaya futhi angaye ukunivolva yo anganiki ona ni stupid umuntu anikwazi ukubona umuntu nini ukuthi akanthanda awukwazi ukubona ukuthi lo akangithandi ubona ngama actions wakhe angiphathi ke if a man raises his hand on you leave. I always say that you live before you die and decompose. And if you pray to God, you do not go back to God and thank him for keeping this man. Let's watch the second thing.
Hi guys, I'm sorry, I know but I took too long to come with this part 2, but it's because Galoku we all go to work most, so work was quite hectic. But anyways, I ended the first video where I was talking about the fact that my husband was in an accident. The car became like a total write-off on the spot. This is now the GLC. The Mercedes-Benz GLC was a write-off on the spot, the one that I was paying 15,000 for every month. The nice thing is that I had a comprehensive insurance on the car, and I also had like a shortfall cover on the car. That is like one thing that like I made sure, because you know I was like advised, Uba, if you are going to buy an expensive car, you must know, Uba, you've completely covered it. And I just want to say this to young ladies, females that are buying like a car for the very first time. First of all, I feel like as a young female, you've got no business buying like a luxurious, very expensive car as your first car. If you're just a young like female, your first car, I feel like you've got no business buying a very expensive car. But yeah, if you feel you want to, and like you are single and you've worked for it, you want to buy like a luxurious car, it's fine, yeah, but just make sure you can afford the insurance, a comprehensive, and also afford the shortfall cover on the car. That was just a side note. So the insurance paid, the shortfall was paid for, and then like within a space of a month, and during that time, my husband had a courtesy car that he was driving. He was driving a Polo TSI that was also an automatic. And like then the car was paid for, and then that meant that my name was cleared. So that meant I was like in the clear now to start looking for another car. This whole time that we've been talking with my husband, we are speaking about the next purchase of a car. What kind of a car that are we going to purchase? So I say to him, listen, I feel like with you being involved in an accident with the car that you were driving, and now standing at a point where the car is fully paid for and my name is clear, I honestly feel like that was God trying to help me to correct a financial mistake that I had done. And then I was like, listen, let's be honest to ourselves. We are not able to afford this car. You can see how like the lifestyle at home, it has gotten like to a bad place. We are not comfortable. We are not happy. Money wise, like I'm always broke, you know, despite the fact that I am working, but we're not able to do most of the things that we were supposed to be able to do. And I think, you know, like even when I'm speaking about these things, obviously, like I'm trying to avoid to say that, oh, another thing is because we are a one income household. No, I don't say things like that, because I don't want him to feel like I'm putting the blame on him. But what I was trying to reason out with him was for him to understand, but we do not afford this car 15,000 to begin with. Then I said to him, can we please consider downgrading? Can we please downgrade? Because that car was the big car and it's very expensive to begin with. The insurance is expensive. The installment of the car is expensive. Can we please downgrade? Then he said, he's not prepared to take anything that is not a Mercedes-Benz. For him, it's going to be Mercedes-Benz or nothing. And another thing, he said that he's not going to be a laughing stock amongst like his people and his friends and just like people in general, because he was driving a Mercedes-Benz, a bigger car. It's bigger, like even amongst his peers, he was driving a bigger car. Gogi got involved in an accident, and now I want to turn him into a laughing stock by making him drive a small car. Uzawuhlekwa yena. And njengoba ezawuhlekwa like mna ndithini ngesidima sakhe. And yena he's not gonna be fine. Yay? Dithi ke ngoku kuye mna, okay. If we go and buy an expensive car, just like the car that you were driving, you've got to know, Uba, going forward, we will never afford to stay in the city or to stay in town okanye like to go and stay somewhere where like the cost of bread is expensive and the way of life is also expensive. Because I've got to think about what is it that I can afford. I cannot afford to have you drive the most expensive car and then also have the kids and have to send the kids to good schools, and also the kind of a house that we're gonna stay in, pay the rental like that, because like if you go and stay in the city with the big family that we've got, that means that when we get to the city and we get a rental, that house is gonna be like 15,000. So I cannot pay rent that is that expensive and then pay for a car that is that expensive at the same time, when I have to cover like the daily like bills up handling. Then he said, yeah, he understands that means we're gonna have to stay in rural. Then he said, yeah, he would rather compromise and then we stay in rural. He drives like a cheap car. We went to Mercedes-Benz. When we got to Mercedes-Benz, on the floor, on the showroom, there was a GLB. That was in 2021, ne? That was in 2021 in August. The Mercedes-Benz GLB was new. Yes, I think the Mercedes-Benz was brand new. Like just then, like it had just been like released. It was on the showroom. There was a brand new GLB. Hey guys, that was white in color and SUV. And my husband was not even interested to look for other cars. He just stopped in front of that car and he said, "This is the car I want." And I was like, did you see how much this car is? It's like, this is the car I want. The price that was attached to that car was 1.2 million. And I'm like, we don't have a house. We are busy giving birth to other kids. And like, I cannot afford this car. Then he's like, no, this is the car that he wants. Then I rehashed the conversation with him. I'm like, listen, if you want us to buy this car, then no, Uber, that means for the duration that I'm paying for this car, because this car I'm going to be paying 20,000 or above for the duration that I'm paying this car, we cannot go stay in the city. We cannot like have any other life except like staying in rural with our kids and knowing that we're going to compromise on everything else, because I'm going to need to get paid good money. I'm also going to need to also have rural allowance for me to be able to afford to buy this car. Then we got the quotation for the car, and then the dealer was talking to me, broke down the costs and showed me how much I'd be paying. Affordability was worked out. Obviously, I came out on top, like I'm gonna afford the car. We went to have lunch with my husband. At the restaurant, I rehashed the conversation again. We spoke about it. Then he said, yeah, no, we would rather stay in rural, but that's the car that he wants to drive. We went back home, and then when we came back again, fine, I signed on the dotted line, guys. Son. If I'm not gonna go mad because of this, since I didn't go mad on it, I will never go mad again. We signed on the dotted line. I signed, and then he got his car. So the car that he got was a GLB that was royal blue in color. It was a gorgeous car. When you are sitting inside the car, it felt like you are riding in luxury. Like, it was a very beautiful car. It was a beautiful car that was costing me an arm and a leg. I was paying 20,000, 19,000 and something, closer to 20,000 for the installment. Then the insurance was closer to 3,000. So in total, I was paying 23,000 per month towards a car alone for a man that is not employed. And I was taking care of the kids, of every other bill.
No, Kelly, she's still talking about, if I did not go mad, then I'll never go mad. Hey, we are mad. I know mad. No, mad. You know this whole thing, when she's talking about Indaba Yoguti, when they got to Mercedes, she was like, Mina, I can't afford this car. It reminded me of when I was doing a grade 12, 2011. My dad I was raised by my mom, just to be off topic a bit. I was raised by my mom, and at the time my mom had recently just lost a job. And then earlier during that year, I reconnected with my father. He reached out, he promised me heaven and earth and all of this and that, and he never delivered, you understand. And towards the week of towards the matric farewell valley, the guy was just MIA after promising me everything, you understand. Now I remember this particular day. It was the day before my matric farewell. I was with this other female friend of mine who I went with, and I'm very grateful of her. We went with my mom. My dad had promised to send me imali ngango 2,000 rand. Yeah, when we went with my mom to town and this other girl, and my mom was going to give me imali, and she told me, Sabelo, I'll only be able to give you imali ngango 1,000 rand. I'm not going to be able to give you anything more than that. And then I kept on sulking, and I was angry. And then she was like, "Since imali ke wena ngoba ayifuni imali, awuyi farewell." And she walked away. She left me. She carried on to go and buy the things that she needed in Tlini, and she left me like that. This female friend of mine was like, "Yeah, wena. What if your father doesn't put in le mali ngempela? Because your mother's even telling you she knows your father won't do what he is promising to do." And funny enough, if I sit back now, I look, Vele, he was promising me everything throughout the year, from the beginning of the year, and he never delivered. Why? What made me think ukuthi deliver manje? Ukula. My mom left me kanjalo. Back to the story. Ebefamshiya store. Ebekumele amshiya stolo, amshiya kanje ukuthi wena ufuna imoto. One, they had no business at Mercedes. One, le ndoda broke. It broke as fuck. You understand? Inesibindi sokuthi iyothi yona ifune nizophela nya tututu nina. Ebefana mshiyi. One, le ndoda ibeka isandla. Two, he broke. This is another thing, guys. This is another thing. Nina, y'all don't think for yourselves. Angeke bafethu. Kamna ngiyala-ke. You cannot settle down with the indoda enganamali. You honestly cannot. Yes, ama-slay queens are judge and say this and that, but you honestly cannot do that. Indlu ene income e1 idonsa kanzima. Yes, siyazama bafethu siyaquka. Sihamba ngama-crutches, but you do not. Why would you want that lifestyle nje for yourself? Because uyamthanda. Nanga kuyamtshela. This guy told her ukuthi yena he will not drive any other car. You want to make me a laughing stock? That's another problem. You're still, guys, stop taking boys and trying to turn them into husbands. Because what is even giving here? It's giving off this thing. There's also this other video. I'm going to play that video, but towards the end of this video, where she was speaking about all the red flags and all of that. I feel like this man, when he got this girl, he was like, "Ngaphume kuhluphekeni. This is my meal ticket. Ngifasi doctor. Ngiphumile nje ekuhluphekeni." And ngibona ukuthi ngathi umuntu we-status, because obvious akuthi ngathi umuntu we-status. La into nisonsa kanzima wena futhi broke, you don't even afford, and you are also a man. This woman is earning more than you. You even have the nerve of talking about you being a laughing stock. A laughing stock. Guys, even this thing, this syndrome, it will murder y'all. It will kill y'all. That syndrome of what people say, lenzo share ne sizonibeka downstairs. Lapho nomuntu isyndrome yokuthi abantu bazothini, isyndrome yokuthi nina nisemathandweni. Siyazinqaba thina. Kodwa siwakhiphe ama 50 rand. Emsenzeni ngithi umuntu mayishonile kuyakhishwa ama 50 rand mayishonile aswakhiphe nje ama 50 rand. Why fanele amshiye store? She was supposed to leave that foolish fucked up man at the shop. They were not even supposed to go there. You'd rather go and there are people like that, even my peers and people who are even younger than me. You'll see them looking heaven descent, sent from heaven. Bahle bayababa. Bathi ke laba suka khona. I thank God. As I thank God. Guys, we need to pray for our minds. We need to pray and say, God, help us stop being stupid. Losis already had kids. As I said on the that previous videos I was talking, I said I did not know, I wasn't sure if they had kid or not. Already they had ingane. Lo muntu ushaya phambi kwengane. What? Why? So now you'd rather go and move to Amarural. You worked very hard. I do not know her background, but you worked very hard to come from wherever you came from, and you are where you are now. But uhlala kuMaruru. Ngenxa yendoda engasebenzi. Yeah, uyasebenza uyazama, but no. Cha. Guys, hey, nenazi ngizophela guys. Siyeni kwenye video. Yazi yangistressa lo mshado.
Yo, Asana, I'm so sorry but you are triggered by this. If you are triggered, I am so sorry. Okay. So now, my husband is driving his car that's costing me 23,000 every month. Because that was around August ended, and then the following month he was now driving that car. We were still in Lady Grey where I was doing my community service, because most community service is a whole year. Hi. So now he's driving this car, and then the bank starts deducting, and I realized, but yay, this is expensive. This is expensive. It's so expensive because if you think about it, from the car that he was driving and we were paying 15,000, now you have added an additional 8,000 that is going towards a car. And community service is gonna end. When community service ends, I'm gonna have to find a job. So now it's towards the end of the year, and I can see by the province is not really looking to reabsorb us. So I have to start looking for a job and going for interviews. I started looking for a job. I started going for interviews. Some of the interviews were horrible. They went quite horrible. And then some of the interviews I was confident. So in the hospital that I'm now working in, when I did the interview, I was quite confident that okay, I did well. But there was also other hospitals that I had interviewed in. But most of these places, they were rural. Because there was no posts that were coming out from the city hospitals. And another thing, I've always thought about it as the competition is tough. For city hospitals, most doctors don't want to go to work in rural. So if I want to be sure that I'm gonna get a job, then I need to also be targeting those hospitals that people don't want to go to. To be honest, I was worried about what's gonna happen to the livelihood of my kids. What's gonna happen to this husband that likes living an expensive life. I wasn't thinking for myself. As a result, towards the end of the year, I'd already been signed. I'd already gotten my independent practitioner Ndoni HPCSA clearance. I was already I'd already done courses your advanced life training courses, so that I'm able to look for locums. I was still doing ComServe, but before it could even become the 1st of January, I already had my certificates. I was already cleared because I knew I had to start looking for locums, of which I did. So December came. Now we have got to vacate where we are staying at Lady Grey. We've got to vacate, and I've spoken about this in another video. Because the contract has ended, we have to vacate. Then we are now thinking about where are we going to stay. So my husband said, he's not going to continue staying in Lady Grey while I'm still waiting to be called wherever I got a job. He can't stay in this place. This place has been frustrating him. He wants to go and stay somewhere where it's a city in the meantime that we're waiting to hear. Then we started thinking about places like, should we go stay in Port Elizabeth? Maybe if we stay in Port Elizabeth, because I'm hopeful of this hospital that I've interviewed in, but they haven't like okayed it. They haven't told me, but yes, I'm getting the job. Or like I've interviewed like even in Lady Grey, I've interviewed like in Buckley East, I've interviewed like in Joburg. I don't know where I'm gonna get the job. Then we eventually came to a consensus that Bloemfontein is in the middle of the country. We should go and stay in Bloemfontein. And then we wait. Then we stayed in Bloemfontein. Okay. When we stayed in Bloemfontein, I was waiting for your call. Eventually, I did get my letter of appointment where I'm working now. So I knew that I had to come and start. But I couldn't start in January because since I'm a bursary holder, there was that whole thing where the government had to place us. And because the government couldn't place us, then they made an arrangement that we should go back to the hospitals that we're doing our internship for the month of January while they were trying to get jobs for us. So that complicated my time of coming here to start my post, to start my permanent post like on the 1st of January. I had to like work up until like the end of the month, and then only came here to start in February, of which at that time we were already staying in Bloemfontein. And when we wanted to leave Bloemfontein to come and get a house here, the people that were renting us the place in Bloemfontein, they said no, we must give a 3 months notice before we can vacate the house. So I left my family there. I left the nanny, I left the kids, and I left the husband there. I came to start working. Someone like helped me to squat while I was working here, and then I would drive back home. By this time, I told my husband, I'm like, because I am going to go and be working far, I feel like now it's the time when I should get myself a car, because this whole time he has been driving a GLC and then he went to drive a GLB. I didn't have a car, but now I was saying I'm a medical officer now. I'm no longer like a community service doctor. I need to have my own car because I'm also looking to be working and doing extra shifts like wherever I can go. So that means I need to be able to drive my own car. And another thing, he is staying in Bloemfontein. I'm gonna be going to work. He's here with the kids. I have to, in the meantime, be coming, to Bloemfontein to see the kids and to see, basically to see the kids up until they can come and move and join me where I'm at. Then he wasn't happy about that. I know, but like he wasn't happy the fact that I was gonna now get myself a car. But at this point, I think also feeling how painful it is to pay for his car, and also like all the abuse that I've endured, I was already starting to like feel bad. But I've been working this whole time. What is it that I've done for myself? What is it? I have like been breaking my back for this husband to be comfortable, to be happy, but he's not really happy, because despite yonke lento that I am doing, trying to work hard to make sure that the kids are fine, to make sure that he is happy, but I still come back home and he still like treats me kakubi. He still like is abusive. He still insults me. All of that. So I was starting to feel like, anyway, you probably need to start thinking about what is it that you want. So I just toughened up my head. I went and I bought myself a car. So I got myself a Kia Rio. It was cute. I loved my car. Also another thing, I justified it and I said there's no use, but we must be in the same house and we both drive big cars. He drives a big car. A GLB is a big SUV and it's a 7-seater. So I was like, it's fine. His car can work as a family car, and then I'll just buy like a small car just so that I'm able to move from point A to point B. I enjoyed my car, okay? I don't wanna lie. I really did enjoy my Kia Rio. And every 2 weeks I would like leave work and go to Bloemfontein to go and check on them. I think I spoke explicitly about this, about how abusive like the weekend would be. The time when he beat me up and closed up my eye was in one of those like visits that I did. Before this part ends, I just want to say, getting that car was the worst mistake of my life. Like his car, the car that cost 23,000. It was the worst mistake of my life. I've never been so miserable. But as miserable as I was, that man enjoyed himself. He enjoyed himself and he didn't care. It broke my back. It was painful. And at this point, I was like, hey, but God had offered me an opportunity to correct this. God had given me an opportunity on a silver platter and said, Mtanam, correct this. And I chose not to. I chose not to because it was always tough to disappoint my husband. I've always told myself, but if he is happy, if my kids are happy at home, I will also be fine. And I've realized that my marriage was about making other people happy. It was never about me. It was never.
Yazi wafethu ama-AMs nomuntu ubhizi ngamavidiyo YouTube. Okay, I can't remember exactly what was this saying. How does it go? But more or less, into ukuthi there are people who don't want all the things that you give them. Abasifuna lezi zinto banika zona. Into abayifunayo bafuna ukuba uwe. Yeah. Abafuna lezi zinto lezi ubanika zona. Instead bafuna nje impilo yakho straight. Le ndoda ibinjalo. Guys, she spoke about something yokuthi she thought ukuthi if her kids and her husband were happy, naye bezoba happy. Hayibo. I always say, if you are not happy, the people around you will not be happy. Most especially as a breadwinner. Loss is a breadwinner. You're a breadwinner. Ebe breadwinner nethi into ebengipora ngayo bengafuna ukuyibeka eqala. Makuthiwa woza sibeke eqala sakucela ebevela kwade. Ethe ngicela be indoda yami qala. And still this man is still abusing you. Athi kufana amehlo. Niyayibona lento engisho ukuthi nina niyazizonda. Niyayizonda nina. Yona sizonda. Manje usukuma predicament ngenja nje. Ugoba yazi ngiyayibuza ukuthi lo bhudo wapi. I'm so going to check kuthi ubhudo wala eMzansi noma kusuyi, because this is giving ngathi umuntu outside wa outdoors. Labo abafit bazosebenza bazonigadla ngokwayi, ngabe benithi ngenduku benigadla ngokwayi, ngabe nithi ngenduku nje. Yekani indaba zokuthi nina nifuna imishado nizophela. Yekani izindaba zemishado, yekani indaba zokufuna ukujabulisa amadoda. Nina abafethu yes yibo ababheka kakhulu ama-video ami, but bazoba strong nabo. Angeke bazophela phela lapho. Niyababona labo sisi bethu ukuthi idimdim Nkosi yami, idimdimu. She's even saying ukuthi uyasebenza uyagoba usefunde for 100 years. But usezenzeleni yini into azenzele yona? Lutho. Yazi Lutho. Ucabanga if le ndoda yakhe le ibingekho noma ushiye uqala after iqeda kumshaya wakhika out wakhetha divorce, ngabe uphila soft life enjani ke lapho? Another thing, guys, if you are still doing a learnership, apprenticeship, you're still doing into a temporary or a contract, you're not permanent. Do not put yourself in a financial predicament ezoba longer than duration yalo contract yakho, because angeke sikuzwele thina for mina angekuzwele mina even esimsenzini kubatshelile ngathi ungalinge uzifake enkingeni yokuthi you are doing usasebhizi nge-learnership or apprenticeship or whatever, you're not permanent yet, and already when you're buying imoto ufuna ukwenza, don't do that. As she's even saying ukuthi manje she was even stressed and starting to look, going around and looking for umsebenzi because she was not permanent yet. Why would you put yourself esimeni esinjalo? Omunye umisi once told me, what kimi ayithi etlasini wathi avoid putting or finding yourself in stressful situations. Ugelika kahlali ugela benza sure ukuthi ufuna nje uba ne-stress ebesiguduza i-stress la singakhona athi yazi manje ngoba asisekho i-stress, asisekho i-blanket, akasiguduze i-stress. Le ndoda yindaba bafethu. Why? Bese benivala amehlo. Is it worth it kodwa bafethu?
Hi guys, I'm on lunchtime, but I thought maybe before I start eating my lunch, let me record this video and get it over and done with. So I ended the last video Kulandao where I was talking about how difficult it was financially paying for that car. You know, if like I'm being honest, the worst decision I've ever taken in my life is not even marrying my husband. That is not the worst decision. The worst decision I took was signing and like taking that car for him. That is the worst decision I've ever done in my life. The most stupidest decision, the most and yes, it was the worst decision because by signing for that car and taking that car for my husband, I did so much injustice even to my kids. That has delayed me in even buying a house for my children because paying for that car became so difficult. As time progressed, there is a time where I started speaking and saying to my husband, listen, I cannot afford this car. And I think you can see that because towards the end of the month, and our life has changed drastically. We're not able to do fun things that we used to do as a family. We're not able to entertain the kids because there isn't money to do that. And even Nata Pendlini, we are not okay. We're not okay, and partly it's the finances because believe it or not, the lack of finances in a marriage, they have a big impact. Some people are miserable in their marriages not because they don't love each other, not because they don't care about each other anymore, but because of lack. Lack can make you very miserable in marriage. It can quench the love, it can quench the affection, can quench the respect and the honor you give to each other just because you are broke in that marriage. It's frustrating. It's so humbling. So I think finances is a very important aspect in people's marriages. But anyways, it was so difficult. But another thing that was difficult, I think, as I was growing and I was realizing just how much I am struggling, and I was resenting the fact that, man, I am married to this guy whose priorities are so mismatched to my priorities because he values being comfortable and being in a good car as opposed to us buying a house and securing our future and securing our kids' future just because he feels, but this place is not good enough for him. So he would much rather drive a car that costs 1.2 million than buy a house that costs 1.2 million. And this is someone who has not only given birth to one child, but at this point already also has 3 kids, So I think I started losing the respect I had for him, and like the affection that I had in believing but I was married to this guy who's like an honorable person, who is a churchman and who is a church guy as well, who fears God, who prays so much, who has like such a good relationship with God. Like all of that respect started wearing down. And so because of the frustration of also not also being able to afford like all of these bills, now I was also paying for 2 cars, I was paying rent, I was paying like school fees for these kids, and there's just a lot. I was starting like to be so mean. I'd be so mean, like would be having an argument and then I'll just throw it in, but like you're not even helping me. Yeah, but like Uba, like he would say to me, like despite everything that I thought I was doing from my end, he would like say things like, what has he gained from this marriage? And like then I will start counting. I'll start counting the things that I think he has gained. But despite all of that, like he used to say things that suggest but he feels but I am a useless wife. Like I'm not a good wife. And now I was like thinking but I'm doing my best as a wife. And so I started being mean. Like I'll throw jabs at him. I'll say things that you shouldn't say to a man. Like I'd say to him, but like I don't know, but now why I'm in this marriage. I don't know why I'm in this marriage because it's not even the sex. Like there's no sex. Um it's not that like you care for me, you don't. It's not that like you are there for the kids all the time, you are not. Like you the whole week you are where you're staying, and then you come here like on the Friday, and then you are here Saturday, and then on Sunday you're leaving. Okay, if you came on the Saturday, on the Monday you're leaving. And you find that even when he does come, maybe we were fighting, yeah, but and then so when he comes, like there's no like um there's no relationship between us. Like the marriage is busy dying, and mnangapa I am busy like going deep and deep and deep and deep and deep. I think it just like from there onwards, like the marriage just started going like low, low, low. Then I started like saying to him, listen, I think I gave birth to my last child, the third born. And I think I've spoken to how like the conception of my last child was in the video that I posted when I was saying that even in a dry marriage you can still fall pregnant. So I'm not gonna include that here. But like I then eventually gave birth to my third child, and then when I gave birth to my third child, you know, we tried to say let's work things out, and then I forgave him, and then we spoke and we said we're gonna give it an honest like try. And then when we did that, then we were now speaking, and I was like, listen, look, this car is very expensive, I think you can see, but I can no longer afford this car, and we've got 3 kids, and we're saying we want to try and make the marriage work. So for us to make the marriage work, we must at least like fix like the financial issues that we have, you know. And then we spoke. It was very difficult. At some point we had to speak to our friends. We have other friends that were advising. It was so difficult for him to finally agree to letting go of the car. And it was very important to me, but he agrees, because I was like, this is not a matter of me wanting to take away the one thing that he treasures, but it's me trying to make him see, but as the man of the house, you need to make the decision for us, to say that you're choosing us as a family as opposed to choosing you and your comfort. It took forever. Like he just didn't want. At some point I was considering that I was going to take my car and his car, and then we trade them in, for me to come out with a very small car so that he can have like the car that he's gonna be comfortable with. Because he was saying even if he lets go of the GLB, he still wanted a Mercedes-Benz. He didn't want anything that is below like the Germans. He wasn't gonna drive anything but a Mercedes-Benz. Like he would much rather even go towards getting a second hand, but it must be a Benz. You I was so frustrated. Then I did call a few dealerships, and we tried, but eventually I was like to him, no, the car has got to go. To cut the long story short, eventually we had to like let the bank take the car, the GLB, and then the bank did come and take the car, but the value of the car, obviously it had depreciated, and then it had more than 250,000 shortfall. And then with that, I think the bank did give me a discount, like a 40% discount. And then I ended up having to pay like, I don't know, but like I started paying. And then eventually I was left with around like 130 or like 130. And then I had to like settle that. But I settled that like after like we had separated, like long separated. And then, yeah, because the reason I had to do that is because Kaloku, I did falter on one payment and then I was blacklisted. And me faltering on that payment was because I'd made the decision that the car has got to go and he didn't want the car to go. So I was thinking, bah, I'll just falter on the payments and then the bank can come and fetch their car eventually. But that made me to be blacklisted.
And you know, guys, that I also want to talk about is this thing, a good team. Stop having this thing, a good team. Just because we met at church, you heard me praying, you heard me singing, worshiping God, crying. Ukuthi I'm a saint. Yo? Stop that thing. Stop it, nje. Stop it, nje, you. Kwashululu. This thing, ukuthi hayi, hambi sonto, right, lo. Perfect. That's on a killer. Because she's even talking about Guti. Yes, the man was praying and all of that. And she was like, it's a God-fearing man and all of that. This is a God-fearing man who's doing all these things to you. And who's not even looking after the whole y'all. And ngapho phezulu ubeke izandla nibamba bamba. Cha yeke ndonto. Yeke nje. Usizile futhi she did good ke lapho. Shout out to her for having to do what she did. The sad thing ukuthi manje blacklist you, but tell and do blacklist to hamba ube right. Uzoba right. The fact I can see even lento ukuthi this amount of money that she was paying was a lot. Imali, guys. Itrauma banayo uba nomuntu okunyanyisayo. Yo. Yazi trauma iduru ukudlula le 20,000. Because nano kuyubana ukuthi, and even with him having to even be like, yeah, when you sense of no lapha benzela ukuthi ezokwazi lokho kuqhubeka emcontroller amenze khona ezofuna ezinye izinto amenzele yini uke manipulate nomenzani. Yeah. Ayebefuna nje ukwenza lokho lo bhuti futhi ayithi befuna ebenza lokho. Umuntu do everything for that person. Angazi deserve nokuzi deserve, son of a bitch. Angazi deserve nokuzi deserve. Ngitshela. Next thing usizothi when you useless yena again lutho kulomshado. Wena uthole mina phela nje yokuqala. Ngibuza ukuthi ubani wabhadala ilobola. Cha ukele mina ungikwatisile ke angifuni nje uniqambe lama. Ungikwatise. Ngiyazi nani ni busy nani into zeni guys lapha busy nabakwatisa abanye. You can only imagine the emotional distress you would be facing if you were a friend or close to them. Because I remember munye ngisho igama naye elokhu ngitshela ngama relationship problems akhe ngim-advise imgili indoda abuyele imgili ngathi amthethe mina ngicinga sengitshela shem because nami sengifika ngathi ke sengipart of the relationship because the same emotions you are going through I also end up going through those fucked up useless emotions, and I'm tired of telling you the same thing. And this other friend naye usethi naye ukhathele because lo muntu sekhuluma naye uthi naye ukhathele. Mina ngeke ke vele angifuni nje niyana stress guys, niyana stress ayo. But this thing yokuthi indoda uyithole ihamba isonto noma ihamba isonto right, nathi this one nje nathi sidayisa umzimba sihamba inkonzo siyizinja nje sihamba inkonzo. Learn and allow people to be themselves. Allow people to show you their true colors, and then from there you decide, okay, this person also bengidli khari yazizolo ama ibuff and shine yami iyelo ngithini. Once they do that, then you decide, do I want to be with this person or not? Are my values, are my goals, future goals aligning with this person's? Decide. If they are not, you leave. This thing ukuthi amadoda amancane in kungcono ukuthi uhlale unganandoda nokuthi ugo through. Kungcono ukuthi ube manless than for you to be going through nonsense and unnecessary nonsense. Umshado is not everything. Yes, someone uzothi hayi wena phela uyayeka, you don't understand, umfana. Nzogoba. No understand one day. You understand one day.
So yeah, the GLB ended up being taken. It was taken by the bank, and then after the GLB was taken by the bank, yeah, like life was just so bad. Even what we were saying we're trying to do, trying to build up our marriage again, I realized, but it's not gonna work. He was so miserable. The other thing that I didn't mention is that I started, like, I was involved in an accident with the Kia Rio. I think if you've watched like most of my videos, you would know at what point I got involved in an accident. That was in 2022 around March, when my husband had left, and I went to Joburg to go like find him so that I can have him back. But I was involved in an accident. I spoke about that in one of the videos. I don't remember which one. You'll have to watch. But at that point, when my Kia Rio was in an accident and also became a write-off, then I eventually got the car that I am driving now. Yeah? So what happened is that when my husband took when we took the GLB back, this is gonna trigger a lot of people. Because like he said here now he's not gonna be without a car, and since I'm the one that like said we must take the car back, then now I was the one that was guilty. But like it's my sisizathu sami esenze uba angabi namoto, yabona. And at that point, after the car was taken, I was blacklisted, so it's not like I could like get a car like right away. So we ended up deciding that he should take my car, this car, the one that I am driving now, that he should take my car. So now I ended up not having a car. Because kaloku yena, he doesn't stay in the rurals, he stays in the city, so he needs to have a car. Okay, this is something that I didn't mention as well, that I'm gonna have to slot it in. He also had another like hustle amongst his like many hustles. He also had another hustle where he's selling second-hand cars. So he didn't have like any cars, a lot of cars at this point to sell. So like he didn't have, but he had like an old Polo that hadn't been sold, yabo, at that time. So he could have decided that yena, he can drive that Polo and then I get to keep my car. But he said no, yena, he's not gonna drive the second-hand Polo that was meant for like to be sold. He's not. He's gonna take my car. My car is an automatic. I am not really comfortable driving imanyo. because when I bought my car, I just bought this automatics. So I haven't really drove like a manual car. So when I said to him, okay, if you're going to drive my car, you're taking my car, then let me have the Polo. I'm going to go back to the driving school. I'll take like, even if it's 5 lessons with the car so that I can be comfortable driving it. At least the distance from home to my workplace is short, because I need a car now when I'm on duty. When I'm on call and I get called out at night, I will need the car. Yabo. He said, no, that car is meant to be sold. I will break the car. So if I break the car, then he will not be able to sell it for business, and then he will end up not being able to have money because now I've broken the car. So he gets to take my car, and then he goes to PE where he's staying, while I remain with the kids, all 3 kids, mind you, and I have to go to work, but I am left without a car. Then he said, no, this other guy that he always leaves the car that he's selling with, that like drives the car around, that guy can be the chauffeur. So when I have to go to work, that guy can come and pick me up and drop me off. And then also that guy can also drop off the kids and pick the kids up with the car that is being sold. But he's saying, no, I cannot drive that car because I will break it. Hey, we must have done that. I don't know for how long, but at that point, the abuse was also escalating. It was also escalating, and now I was going to work and I don't have a car. I can't explain to you how much I love this car. It's not a fancy car. I drive a Kia Seltos. It's really not a fancy car, but it's a comfortable car for me. It's a car I'm very comfortable in. It's a car I love so much. And it's the one thing that I look at and I'm like, I went to school and I bought myself this and I love it. So to have him drive my car while I was walking to work and still have him like not be nice to me, that broke me. It broke me. There is this one specific day that he was back and I was on duty. It was a weekend. I was on duty. He was back, and we're having a disagreement on that day. And like he was just being so rude to me, and he was insulting me, and then he ended up not wanting to drop me off, and I had to walk. And then I walked towards my friend's house, and I asked my friend to drop me off. And then when I got back, I heard from our nanny, and also from my son, that after I had left the house, he continued insulting me and saying a lot of derogatory things to my children while they were also hearing. Derogatory things about my background, derogatory things about me, to my kids. That hurt me as well. And then there was also a day when I was on call, and he was not around. And that guy that is supposed to pick me up and drop me off, he was busy and he couldn't drop me off. But I was being called for something serious. So it was at night, and my friend was also not available to quickly drop me off. I ran to work, going to address what I was being called for at night, and I was running. And then somewhere in the middle of the road, I asked myself, like, what is this that you're doing? Why are you suffering? Like, I think that was my wake-up call as far as my car story like is concerned. You are at work. You have to run, but your husband is using your car to do what? Where he's at. What is he doing? Hayi ntombazana. Hayi ndazinqanda. Ndazinqanda man. I went to work. I did whatever it is that I had to do. And then when he came back the weekend after that, that's when the incident of him not wanting to drop me off and insulting me happened. So I came back that day and I said to him, please, can I have my car keys? And then he said, no. I said, Temi, oh my goodness, and I just called his name. I said, can I have my car keys? I said, can I have my car keys? He didn't want. He didn't want to give me my car keys because he was using my spare key and I had the normal keys. So another day, guys, I went to the police station because I wasn't going to fight someone who's beaten me up so many times. I know he's going to beat me most. I went to the police station. I got there and I wrote the statement and I said to them, can you please escort me at home to my husband? I want to collect my car keys from him. So I came back driving my car and the police cars came and stopped there in the yard. It was like 2 police vans. They stopped and then they called him outside to speak to him. And then they told him, you have to give her car keys. And then he said, oh, we are married in community of property. So that means I also own the car. And the police said, the car is registered on her name. If you don't want to give her, when you are driving the car on the road, she's going to open up a case and say that you stole the car. We as the police, we're not going to ask questions. We're just going to come and take the car. So give her car keys. He gave me my car keys. After he gave me my car keys, then he had to go and drive his Polo. That was...
Yo, mna ngikhathele manje. Ucabanga, I only just watched these few videos and ngikhathele. As I'm just doing what I said I was going to do, because I'll come back and talk. I don't know what to say now. The only thing that I'm just asking myself now, after the police came, did he still continue staying like Pendlin? And also one of the things that I also forgot to even talk about was, Mosi, you and this man agreed, Uguti, if he decided to take the 23k car, you're not going to stay in the city. Sekuye manje futhi ke city. Lo baba lo. Olo this guy. Yena, honestly speaking, Shafukamang. Ungathuthi yaze benomuntu wakhe. Cha shem le PE, ungathuthi benomuntu wakhe o straight, umuntu wakhe nje ahlekisana naye. Kahle. Lo sisi lo beshate naye bekumakhwapheni wakhe. And ngempela yazi ungathola lokho allegedly.
Yeah, so at that point, the police came, they helped me to have my car keys from him, and then I took my car keys. Then I now had both my spare key and my normal key. That meant that he wouldn't be able to drive my car at all. Then he went to that guy that keeps the Polo that he was one of the cars that he was selling, and then he started driving that car. He started driving that Polo, and then he would go to his place in PE, come back. He was driving it like for some time. He drove that car like for a significant amount of time, and I could see, but he's really humbled because shame. I think having a good car is that important to him. Yeah, driving a good car is that important to him, and that is the type of a man that I got married to. I got married to that type of a man. Yay. Yeah. I could see Shamuba, he's not okay, you know. Like he was becoming more and more withdrawn. Up until it got to a point where he was able to buy himself a car. He managed to buy himself a car, a very beautiful car. He now drives a very gorgeous BMW, almost like a hatchback kind of. I don't really know the specificities about cars, but I only know the cars that I bought. Because I had to sign the things. But the car that he's driving now, that's his own car. He bought that out of his own pocket. Like I say, but he's a hustler, you know. He knows like how to make his own money. With all like the things that he's able to do, he can afford his own lifestyle. It's not that he can't. And then when he got his car, he went back to being himself, you know. being so sure of himself. I was happy enough for him when he got his car, because I thought the confident him is gonna come back again. I was very happy with him. I was very happy for him. I mean, but yeah, like the marriage just kept on going down and down and down. And at this point, like when I was driving my car, even when we were okay, he made a vow, since I called cops on him with regards to this car, that he will never step inside my car. So even if we are going to like an activity, school activity for the child and stuff, if I would have to drive my car, and then he will be in his own car. And then it got to a point where he wouldn't like want me inside his car, especially the brand new car, when we were not okay. So yeah, like those were the last bits of the marriage. But to conclude this series that I was making about like the worst financial mistake of my life, which was buying like this expensive car for my husband, that started with me agreeing to buying the GLC for 15,000, and then now buying this one that I was paying 23,000 towards, and it ending up being taken by the bank. And now, after we've separated, battling with the fact that I am still blacklisted, and I wanted my name so bad. I wanted my name back so bad, so I had to settle the shortfall. And as soon as I settled the shortfall, my name was cleared. My name was cleared. But I still have, a lot of financial setbacks. I still haven't bought the house because the divorce is not finalized. So, that's the one thing that I am really like battling to like come into terms with and be at peace with, because I feel like my kids deserve a home. But because of the choices that I've made in life, I'm now delaying my kids on having like that kind of security. To think, but after everything that I've just now spoken to you about and everything that I've shared, it was not me that walked out. Like with the abuse, the physical abuse that I've spoken to you about, the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, and like all of these things that I've been speaking about, it is not me that finally called it quits in our marriage. It's not me that finally called it quits. He's the one that walked out. Okay. And him also walking out, the final straw, it's because he had gone at Joburg to go and do a course for himself, something to do with something that he wants to do that is also aligned with him owning the barber shop. He wanted to do a training with regards to that, and so he booked himself at Joburg, and like he was there like for a week. He paid for himself for the course, but he decided that his brand new car, he was not gonna drive it. He wanted to put the car on the truck so that the truck can deliver the car at Joburg. So he had to pay that amount, 5,000 and something, for the car to be carried by the truck. He was gonna fly to Joburg, so he also had to book the flight. He paid all of these things out of his pocket, ne? Then he did, and then he booked himself there. Even for the course, he paid everything out of his pocket. Then on the day that he's coming back from a Joburg, mind you, while he's in Joburg, 3 days before he comes back, he starts like being rude to me, and then we were not okay. But on the day that he's driving back, it was a Sunday, so he went to church, and after church, he doesn't even say that he started driving. I just see on his WhatsApp status updates that, oh, my husband has started driving. That is how petty he was being and cocky with me. Then on the road, he apparently got stopped by traffic cops because there was a lot of traffic fines that were like that he was owing, yabo. So that those traffic stops and checks, he got checked and apparently was stopped by the traffic cops and they wanted him to pay 2,000 on the spot. And he called me and I was on duty that day. I was even wearing gloves, I was sterile. So I couldn't like answer my phone right away. So he was now getting pissed. And he called me saying that, oh, he's in an emergency. He needs 2,000 because the police have stopped him, got in. And I was so annoyed. Now I was annoyed because he was just living large, Konangoku. He was making reckless financial decisions of not driving his car, wanting the car to be driven by a truck, delivered to a Joburg, and then him flying. But he's going to the same place where he wants the car to go. Like I didn't understand about why he was being like that, you know. So I was cross and I didn't want to like finance that. So I was angry. But when he came back, I didn't address it like on the day. He came back, I was on duty, and then the following day, then I addressed this with him. And I said to him, listen, I don't have a problem now if you want to live large. If you want to live large, that's okay. That's your life. But you should do it out of your own pockets. I no longer want to finance now your extravagant living. And the reason I'm saying that is because Galoko, I take care of the kids, I take care of all the basic bills apparently. Where now all you do is to take care of yourself. So in future, do not ask me for money because you are living a bachelor's life. My money is our money. It's everyone's money, but your money is your money. So I've decided, Bamna, I want to be responsible in taking care of the kids and taking care of everything. But I do not want to finance your reckless living and your extravagant life. Then, because I said that, he decided, Oba, he's going to tell me, Oba, anyway, you should live your life. I'll also live my own life. He meant it when he said that. Because then he had contact with me and he never wanted to hear from me again. And that's how we became separated. We became separated because he said that he wants me to live my own life. He's going to live his own life. And that is because I said I didn't want to finance his life anymore. He's gone. He's gone. He's driving his own car. He's gone. And he doesn't support his kids, but I don't care. Even if he doesn't want to, he's living his life and I've been living my life since.
Guys, I also want to wrap this up. I need to sleep kancane hour. Yo, so what this lady is telling us is that if this man never left her, he should still be this marriage. The sad thing about this whole thing is I know someone who's kind of living a life like this. Let's check out this last video and yeah, guys, I need to sleep. I'll edit this again.
Can I please tell you something? Can I please just tell you something honestly? Mna, guys, I wasn't supposed to like fall in love that deeply with my husband or like go ahead with like dating him for that long, or even like get to a point where we've went to marriage school and lobola has been paid and then ending up getting married at that time. The reason I'm saying that is because there's this other time. I think he had taken me on our first date and then this was going to be like a second date of some sort. So he came and he picked me up at Sahamba with his car. We were going to Essentia to go and see his friends. And I think his friends were having a braai of some sort. So he asked me, he said, can I come with? It's just going to be braai, like your friends, Zake, with like their girlfriends or with their wives, the ones that were married, they were having a braai. So Ella like in this naye to be like his date. Then I agreed. Then on that Saturday, he came, he picked me up, and we went. As figure Payana, the friends were sitting in such a way that the girls were sitting on the other end, and then the guys were sitting somewhere, and then they were busy like preparing the meat and stuff like that. So I got there, I was introduced to everyone in the group, and then I sat with the girls. But you know, most if you are like out and then your person is there, they will like keep on coming to check on you. At this point, we were not married yet. Like our relationship was still very, very new. Like we probably went on one date, and this was the second date, and we went on two. So, and I'm emphasizing this because I could have exited at that point, but I didn't. So, then while we were sitting there as the girls and the guys were busy crying, don't, at some point during that time, CSR, like he came to me, and then I could smell behind him. This person smells like he smoked. Then I asked him, I'm like, so you smoke? At first he said no, and then eventually he says, yes, I do smoke, but he said that he only smokes like if he goes out, like he smokes recreationally. That's what he said. Stop it right there. Mna, I am a Christian girl. I said that, right? Number one. Number two, I met this guy at church, but ngoku outside of church, he smokes. Outside of church, he smokes. And like I experienced this on our second or third date, but as much as I experienced it and I noted it, and like I expressed how like I thought, like I'm not, I didn't want someone who's smoking, but I brushed it off. That is just one red flag that should have been enough because of the kind of a person that I am, and because of the fact that I went around him now, knowing being the church girl that I am, I wanted to fall in love and get married to someone who shares the exact morals and the exact values that I've got. He showed me very early on in our relationship that a lifestyle yake is different from the kind of a lifestyle that I would probably want in a man that I am to commit to. But I looked at the first red flag and I ignored it. Okay, I brushed it off. Yes. And then 6 years down the line of marriage, he now smokes weed and he gets paranoid because like the things that he's doing. And at this point, because it's unbearable, that's when I want to address it and say, hey, I don't want him now, a husband that smokes. You treat me like this when you have smoked. But I am saying, on the second or on the third date, he showed me that he's smoking. And I knew I don't want someone who smokes. But I brushed it off. I want to say this to ladies, guys, stop acting dilulu. Stop acting dilulu, because acting delusional is not always the solution. Yabona lanto kwakumane kusithiwa dilulu is the solulu. Sometimes it is not. Acting delusional is not the solution, especially when it comes to things that will affect your whole eternity. Things that are going to affect you forever in life, like in making a decision such as like a life partner. You cannot be acting delusional. When a man shows you uba ungubani, believe them, and believe them the first time that they show you. If you are with a guy and the first time you guys have a disagreement, he calls you out of your name and insults you, believe but that's the kind of a person that you have met, that they are rude and they are mean like that. Do not try to justify it. Try to be delusional. You didn't see what happened. No, it's because I made them upset. No, maybe it's because I provoked it. You didn't provoke anything. The person that you are with is rude and is someone that will not hesitate to insult you. Don't make an excuse. Do not make an excuse. If you see uba umtu like une anger spurts, uya gaslighter, okanye ukubethile kayi-1, you got angry, noba umenze ntoni, and he lifts his hand and he beats you, and you are saying, no, he only slapped me here, no, he only like ondinyolile, akadanga wandibetha uvele wandinyola, okanye no khange andibetha uye wandiqinisa isandla. Uzokubetha ndikuxelele mna. Uyandiva? Ndithi uzokubetha soze angakubetha. And then ke ngoku 6 years 7 years down the line uzofana nam uthi whoa, I married a good guy. Uzothi you married a good guy phi? Kodwa umntana abantu wayekubonise on the second date uba he smokes yena. Wayejustifya wena. I'm saying this game na ke to church girls. To church girls, I'm saying this too. But I cannot justify. I cannot justify. My time is up. I have to go back to class. Bye-bye.